When people ask me where I'm from, I never know what to say because I am Vietnamese and I was born and raised in Alexandria, Virginia, and I hold both places firmly in my identity. Also, because of that, I don't like to refer to Vietnam, where I'm from, as a third world country, because it just seems that along with that comes an air of judgment, like Vietnam is worse than the U.S. and other first world countries. So then, who the hell am I to say that an entire country is better or worse than another country? So all I can really say is that Vietnam is very different than the U.S. So when my parents came to the U.S., they brought along a lot of my mom's siblings, so my aunts and uncles, and my mom and dad are the oldest, so as a result of that, they are the most traditional and old school and strict. I was barely allowed to leave the house, and also as a result of that, all of my cousins were like the coolest because they were allowed to like leave the house and go to other people's houses and like eat dinner there and crazy majestic things like that, right? So one of my cousins who I looked up to the most, got along with the best, is my cousin Christina. She's a few years older than me, and I just always looked up to her. She's like pint-sized, and has a huge personality, and is funny, and is just like a spitfire. So in 2007, Christina and her brother and their mom went on a long-planned trip to go to Vietnam. This would be the first time for them, and then for their mom, the first time back since they fled. And they asked me, because we're close, Christina and I are close, they asked me if I wanted to go along. And of course I jumped at this opportunity. So we go to Vietnam for the first time. We're in my mother and my aunt's hometown of Hoi An. Now when we get there, it becomes pretty clear, pretty fast, that Christina is the person for whom it is the hardest to adjust to Vietnam, and that she misses the comforts of home the most. I'm sure she would have loved to have stayed in like a Western Tower hotel, but we did not do that. My aunts that still live in Vietnam own hotels. So we stayed in their hotels, and they do not have giant tower Western hotels. They have little ones that I guess are more like for backpackers. They're like 20 bucks a night, and you get all the basic necessities. You get a bed, like made out of this foam stuff. You get a bathtub, and you get a toilet, and you get AC. That's really all you need in Vietnam. So we stayed there, and yeah, I shared a room with Christina, and I felt sad for her. You could just tell she was not comfortable. She had trouble sleeping all the time. I slept like a baby because, we were so busy all day. I would just go home and pass out. But one night, for instance, I go to sleep, and I wake up in the middle of the night, and I can hear her, and I see that the light's on, and I roll over, and she's reading, because of course she can't sleep. And I look at her, and she has her feet zipped up inside of her Vera Bradley bag. Now, I didn't have to ask. I really didn't. I just looked at her and she said, "There, I saw bugs. I saw bugs, so I want to keep my feet safe, so I put them in the bag." Okay? That's perfectly reasonable. While you're sleeping, you need to peck your feet. So, stuff like that. Now, one of the things that Christina and I were most excited about doing in Vietnam was to get a facial and a massage. I know I was, because things in Vietnam are way cheaper than they are here. So the day comes when we go to get this facial massage. Now, Christina, of course, she really would have loved to go to like a Western place, right? Like that does it like the Western way, I guess. And unfortunately, my cousin that lived there checked out that place, came back and said, no, that place will rip you off. There's no reason why you should spend that much money on a facial massage. Don't worry, we will take you where we know it will be good. So we walk out to get this done. We're walking on the dust-filled roads of Vietnam with like motorbikes whizzing by. And we get to a bridal shop, which is weird also because Vietnamese people don't traditionally wear wedding gowns like here. But we get there, and we turn and we go inside, and I'm thinking, okay, my aunt must have to like stop by and talk to somebody here before we go to where we're going. So we go all the way to the back of this place, and we go up the stairs, where we see some women standing there, and then it becomes clear to me that this is in fact where we will be getting our facials and massages, on the second floor of this wedding gown shop. So they start like pairing us up, so these very little ladies come, and one of them pulls me aside, and then she changes her mind, and then she switches me out for Christina. And so we go, and I go into a room, and I take off my clothes, and she tells me to lie face down on this cot, which is where they've offered to do this for me. And everything's going fine. She is doing my legs, and I don't know if you've gotten a massage, but if but at least I, you know, you kind of like drift off into sleep because you're so relaxed. So I kind of drift off, and she's doing my legs. And then I kind of feel the cot shift a little bit, and I feel things on both sides of my legs, and I feel that she's working on my back now. And so, you know, I kind of just lift my head, and I turn around and look behind me, and the woman has climbed up onto the cot and is straddling me, and is doing this to my back. It looks very aggressive and intense. And I'm thinking, okay, now I'm a lesbian. Let's get that out of the way. So I'm in Vietnam, and there is a woman straddling me, and I'm not wearing any clothes. So part of me is like, maybe I should be happy about this. Like, welcome to Vietnam, I have arrived. But, you know, mostly I just feel weird about it. But then I think, okay, like, she's little, and clearly from the straddling position, she's got much better leverage to do this motion, which she's doing. You know, from the side, standing there, she has to like go like this. That's not going to be good, right? So then I'm like, okay, this is clearly procedural, and she's just trying to give me the best service she can give me, right? So that's fine. She finishes. She turns me over on the other side. She's continuing to massage. That finishes. And then we move on to the facial, which I'm very excited about because I have a blackhead problem. So she starts, now, see, and it's around this time that I'm kind of wondering to myself, like, I'm like, you know, how does massage therapy work in Vietnam? Like, do they go to school? Is there a school? Did they do this just because they're good at it and they like it? I don't know. Also with the facials, like, how is the cosmetics industry in Vietnam? Like, what is she gonna be putting on my face? So she's rubbing it on, and then she puts it on, and whatever, it feels great. It feels nice. My skin does not burn up and fall off. She's rubbing it in. I'm getting really relaxed again. It's great. She starts to move down a little bit. She gets to my neck, which could have been disastrous because I'm very ticklish. But it's not. It feels good. I'm still relaxed. And then she starts doing this motion, right? So she's doing this, and she's doing it on my neck, and then she gets a little lower to my sternum. It feels, again, very relaxed. And then she goes lower, and she's still doing this. And again, I drift out of my relaxation, and I think, is she giving me a facial on my boobies? Because it kind of feels like they're flopping around down there. So again, I kind of like open one eye, and I look, and yes, she absolutely is doing that. Now, you know, contrary to popular belief, women's faces are not here. So now, and honestly, by the time like I'm processing all of this and I finish all of these thoughts, the moment has passed. So I'm like, okay, whatever, and so she continues, and I finish, and whatever. Now, I cannot wait to get back to the hotel room to ask Christina and my aunt if this has happened to them. So we get back there, I go straight to my aunt's room. Christina stops by our room. I say, Aunt, did your lady give you a facial on your boobies? And she says, you know, I don't really know. Who says that? I'm like, what are you talking about? Did she touch your boobies or not? And she says, well, you know, I was really relaxed. And I think I fell asleep. So I'm not really sure. I'm like, whatever, you are no help. And then right then, Christina comes in, and before I can even ask her, she is going off. And she's like, where were you guys? I was in a room all by myself. She took me in there. There was a bed in there. She told me to get on my face, and then she straddled me and did this to my back really hard. So she's telling me this, and she's going crazy, and she says, so then I just started screaming, Mom! Mom! Now, at this point, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I definitely did not hear Christina yelling, Mom, Mom. But if I had, I don't know that I would have assumed it was Christina yelling for help. I think I might have just thought, Vietnam is really weird. So she keeps going, and she's yelling, Mom, Mom, and she's like, so then I just stopped it. I stopped it. I just got up, and I sat there, and I opened the door, and I just waited for you all. And so she's got herself all up in a tizzy, and like she's freaking me out too, and then I'm like, oh yeah. And before we even started, that lady, your lady, switched me out for you. And then I say that out loud, which was a really bad idea because it just added to Christina's trauma. So now she's really like paranoid. And then her mom says, oh yeah, you know, your lady asked me to tell you to come back tomorrow to get further treatment on your back. So of course we are all like convinced that Christina needs to get like a restraining order against this lady. So, okay, so is a facial and massage in Vietnam better or worse than a facial and massage in the US? I think if you ask Christina, she would definitely say, way worse. But for me, Better or worse, I don't know. I just know that it is very different.